Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. In my New Year's Day foray into the latest videos on Flat Earth, we have a message from Thomas Sheridan today to all Flat Earthers to take their videos down, get out of the movement as quickly as possible, because it's most definitely a psyop created by a Russian intelligence, former KGB agents now targeting Flat Earthers and finding out which one or ones will be patsies to discredit America. This is what Mr. Sheridan is warning us about. Now, I respect a lot of what Thomas Sheridan says about psychopaths and how they think they run the world, and we kind of allow them to do it. And I think he's got some very, very valid things to say. I love listening to what he has to say. It's just a shame that he won't allow comments on his videos, so that shows that he's sometimes very, very sure of himself, but not necessarily open to debating it. That's okay, that's his channel, up to him. Sometimes I want to kick people off my channel, but only when they get abusive. I'm quite happy to let people put a point of view across. So I think this is maybe, you know, he has a big following, so I worry that he might have struck fear into people who are just venturing into this and are being worried that they're getting involved in some kind of psyop. So I took some notes while listening to his New Year message, and basically his premise here is that the Flat Earth movement is being pushed by Russian intelligence to discredit NASA mainly, and what they are doing is attempting to radicalize this like a religious movement, and so they can find, as he says, useful idiots to become patsies. And apparently, according to Mr. Sheridan, these patsies will find themselves one day, if they're not careful, in the middle of a shopping centre with a shotgun in their hand or something, just about to commit some kind of mass murder. So he basically, from what I understand, as far as I can see, or from what he said, as far as I can see, he's looked into the Flat Earth movement. He imagines that it's comprised of radical Christians and morons and truthers who don't truly understand the extent of the cloak and dagger operations at work in our physical existence. And so he's saying that this is to create hysteria and lead people off in the wrong direction, but I'm not sure what he's saying is the right direction, and this wrong direction will apparently lead certain Flat Earthers to committing mass murder or somehow bringing about World War III. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to go through the points he makes and then maybe come back on them. Let's just keep going with my notes here. So again, now this revelation came to, or this confirmation, shall I say, came to Thomas Sheridan after he spoke to someone who has been through various wars, and I can't remember the name of this person. I don't think he mentioned him, actually, that's right, but he's a writer for many mainstream magazines like The Economist and things like that, and has a lot of insight into warfare and some of the kind of operations that accompany warfare. He made two main points, really: that everything in the Flat Earth movement points back to NASA, and that the second point, this is what he's been told, highlights the fact, according to him, that the Flat Earth movement is being manipulated by hidden hands. The 2 points he makes to show that this is being formulated as a cult is that everything goes back to NASA being the bad guys, and that flat earthers are arrogant and they think they have discovered some secret knowledge that other people are just fools because they can't see it. So obviously, okay, no, let me come back to that, okay. So he's saying that it's run out of, the whole flat earth manipulation is being run out of foreign intel from Moscow, former KGB, and their agenda is to undermine US interests and refers this to being the same as infiltrating people in the Bible Belt, radical people, getting them to eventually commit some kind of radical act because of their religious beliefs. And apparently the Russian Secret Service are using Flat Earth to create a cultural war to undermine the prestige of NASA. And of course then explaining that behind NASA is the US Navy, and they may be far ahead of anyone else with their tech that they are producing in secret. Now he says that Flat Earthers are usually gullible people, the kind of people who used to like or who would be into alien conspiracies, and radical Christians. Those are the two types of people Thomas Sheridan believes are becoming flat earthers, and again just using the flat earth to make NASA look bad. So it's the Russians making NASA look bad by telling everyone to think flat earth. And he also believes that the Russian intelligence is thumbing up flat earth videos. So again, I suppose he's aghast at the idea that all flat earthers have to believe that every photo of the Earth from space is fake, and that every mission that NASA has conducted never actually happened. But also then goes on to talk about again the flat earth movement, all the people in the flat earth movement, or some of them, becoming radicals like Christians that are convinced that Jesus is going to come back and we are going to experience the rapture, and woe betide anyone who hasn't sussed out flat earth by then. And it also makes a connection to or predicts that one or two flat earthers will then become the Lee Harvey Oswalds that we used to kill President Kennedy. So we're looking at this death cult idea again, and he's saying that the flat earth movement, keeps calling it a movement, is trying to isolate the manipulation by the Russian secret services is to isolate by encouraging hostility, encouraging flat earthers to be hostile to those who don't look into flat earth or believe flat earth. So these are this is the premise that the flat earth movement is a cult, according to Mr. Sheridan. And so he's saying that the flat earth movement is going to become an isolated demographic, and then they are going to be used to pull off something that will lead to World War III or something equally catastrophic, and that in the meantime the Russian intelligence agencies that are promoting this are going to do individual profiling on flat earthers to find out which patsy they can use for their special operations. Okay, so let's have a look at that was basically the summary of his New Year message, that any flat earthers should immediately delete their videos and get out of the movement as quickly as possible before they are approached by Russian Secret Service agents to become a patsy. And then, okay, so I had a look back at some of his previous videos. Like I said, I've been following Thomas Sheridan for a while. I love his work and his what he's done. He's very well read, obviously, puts a lot of work into his podcasts or YouTube broadcasts. Velocity of Now is something I've regularly listened to, but to be honest, I've not so much these days since he came out and kind of dissed flat earthers on the beach there. Now, okay, so going back to some of his previous posts, now very rough notes here, but Sheridan's main thing has been in telling us about how psychopaths run the world, but what a mess they make of it, and that's couldn't agree more. But then he had back a few months ago, I think it was in June, but I might be mistaken, one of his Velocity of Now broadcasts, which was NX3, and this was NASA and the Shadows and Tall Tales. Oh, Apollo and NASA, Shadows and Tall Tales. Okay, now in that particular broadcast, Mr. Sheridan said that it was the CIA and DARPA behind manipulating the Flat Earth movement. So a few months ago it was CIA, DARPA, now it is the Russians. They are pushing this to make people into crackpots, and he mentions shills, the people he believes are shills, but doesn't mention them by name. I think we're all aware in the Flat Earth movement that there is, well, when you really think about it, what's the point? How can you be a shill? Because what money is there in it? And unless you're just getting, you know, money from your revenue from YouTube, which is really not something you can make a living out of. But as far as I see, I can't see anyone really making a living out of Flat Earth. It's just knowledge that should be there for everyone, or at least another way of looking at things. Okay, so. Okay, in previous posts as well by Mr. Sheridan, he talks about NASA being run by occultists or people that are into magic and manipulation, and how he believes NASA was set up as a big PR machine to make America look good and bring science into the global community as a religious-like thing. And I would tend to agree with you there, Mr. Sheridan. It basically does promote US patriotism as a religion. Now, I don't know if Mr. Sheridan feels the same. But personally, my personal journey, I don't want to talk about myself, but I can only talk about myself because every other flat earther has a different experience. But for me, it's been a very peaceful revelation. It's been a wonderful thought experiment, and still is. There's a lot more to it. But as I've said before, it's a puzzle, it's a labyrinth, it's a step one must take on one's personal development, at least being able to examine your own beliefs and how beliefs affect other people. And I found this very, very useful and interesting to examine how people react to the Flat Earth. You can put them into a handful of categories. It's very, very interesting. And okay, let me try and go back on some of the points that Sheridan makes, that he envisages that violence will come from the Flat Earth movement being pushed and radicalized, and eventually we'll have people with this kind of religious-like zeal ending up doing mass shootings or something, which I feel is completely the opposite to what happens when you realize Flat Earth. When you realize Flat Earth, you become more peaceful. You understand that some people are never going to accept it. You put videos out there, you say things, you want to open people to the idea, let them think about it, and basically say, go and find out for yourself, get reconnected with nature. And that you know, there's no violence there. The people that are violent are the ones that come along and call you a moron or a whatever. You know, there's some pretty nasty names they come up with, and it's usually people that have looked at one of many videos on a flat earther's channel, and then just fire all this abuse at them. I've not really seen much abuse coming from flat earthers. To be honest, I know that the iFirst channel had its problems, and maybe there seems to be an issue with it right now. I've no idea what that's all about, and as with all the people seeming to lead the movement, which I've said I don't like to call a movement, all the people that are dominant in it, personally I've just taken the bits that I like and tried to ignore their personalities. If they've got some valid information or information that can be confirmed, then that's what I've set out to do, whether it's the horizons or the distances, certain other aspects, the cold, moonlight and things like that. These things are mentioned by flat earth proponents, so off I went to go and see if they were really true, and that led me to realise that a lot of what they said was true, but it certainly hasn't turned me into a religious zealot. Definitely feel closer to, do I feel closer to God? I fear God more. I fear, to be honest, it scares the shit out of me. It scares me that the more evident it becomes that we are on or in a system that ultimately we need to be responsible for our own thoughts, deeds and actions, then that's very scary. It's very scary. And I'll be perfectly honest, I find myself getting quite frightened by that prospect. But one must go where the evidence leads. One thing that Sheridan points out is in one of his previous videos is his belief in Mother Earth, his pagan belief that the things maternal are round, whether it's the ovaries, the womb, the breasts, the nipples. These are the evidence to Sheridan that the earth is round because of his paganistic belief in a connection with the earth, the mountains and the trees, which I would wholeheartedly agree in, that we do need to get connected to the earth, and that's where we come from. And I suppose in that way then maybe I'm a pagan as well, because it's Mother Nature is my God, I suppose, in a way. So back to this idea that NASA has created as a cult, as a religion, and so has Thomas Sheridan taken it as far as to understand that, well, what the thing that made me have this massive realization about the whole thing was that atheism and the reliance on science as an atheist's Bible, as it were, or the theoretical physics behind the Big Bang, evolution, what have you, what that does is turns science into a religion with gravity as the creator, gravity as the God of this particular religion. Yeah? Gravity created the Big Bang. Gravity makes matter turn into balls and has us spinning around, blah blah blah. So gravity becomes the God of the atheist religion. I don't know if Thomas Sheridan has made that connection yet, but that's the way I saw it and realized how believing in the ball is a religious cult, and my personal position in flat earth thinking is not of a dome, or, well, let's say I don't hold a firm belief either way. Like many flat earthers, I think not necessarily devoted to any particular religion, not or not really liking to be labelled as adhering to a particular religion, very, very sceptical about what we're told by the psychopaths in charge and the occultists that attempt to run the world. But that doesn't make me want to go out and kill them or murder them or abuse people that there's, I think, genuine flat earthers have compassion for globeheads or people that refuse. So, I don't know, Mr. Sheridan, you've got a big following, and you've maybe prompted some flat earthers to get paranoid again that they're going to get picked up by some Secret Service agents and forced into some ridiculous patsy situation. But a few months ago it was the CIA and DARPA, now it's the Russians. I think it's Mr. Sheridan's particular brand of pagan belief which is preventing him from entertaining the idea or looking into the facts that all flat earthers start by looking into, and then starting to realise that a lot of what flat earthers say is true. So, enough of the paranoia. Let's just keep on our individual paths, not as a cult, not as a movement, but as individuals realizing the depth, breadth and durability of a worldview started in the West by a very dubious organisation that has taken trillions and trillions of dollars from taxpayers, but was started by enemies of that country in the first place. And so, as a conclusion, and in my humble personal opinion, I say to all you people out there who are flat earthers or looking into flat earth, carry on. Don't be scared. Don't fear that you're going to be picked up by some foreign intelligence agents and used as a patsy in something that will trigger World War III. I see that although, like many truthers out there, Sheridan's quest for the truth and sharing that with us is very valuable in many respects. But he has a predisposition, a set belief, which is at the root of this resistance to looking into flat earth. At no stage has Sheridan actually given any physical or scientific evidence or proofs. He's just referring to the whole PSYOP aspect and foreign intelligence agencies being behind it, and his belief that, his pagan belief that Mother Earth is round because ovaries and breasts and nipples are round. This is very similar to the globe Earth defense that other planets are round, so the Earth must be round.